What's this? A Persona fan that plays other games? Ain't no way. But yep, that's right. Today we are going to see if you can beat Kingdom Hearts at level 1 without abilities and changing equipment. The rules are quite simple. Number 1, unlike every other level 1 challenge that's been done to death by thousands of Kingdom Hearts fans, I've decided to do a much challenging version of this run that only those that walk with Legos in their shoes will try. And that is by simply banning abilities, which includes dodge roll by the way, and equipment. And just to clarify, shared abilities will still be allowed since they aren't abilities that you can attack with and aren't anything game-breaking. Number 2, as you know in Kingdom Hearts, they do have optional worlds, meaning I don't have to beat all of them, but I'm still going to anyway to see how it goes for the run. A decision I'm already going to regret. I may be insane for this, but I've done a few Hearts challenge runs on Persona. I'll be okay.
Soon after.
Just an update. I think I should just stick to Persona because this has by far been the worst thing I have ever done. I'm saying this in a hospital bed, by the way.
Well done, Sora! He's fucking dead!
The game starts off with Sora having to choose a weapon and then sacrificing one. Hey guys, it's Magic from Heaven here. I probably should have said earlier that I've never done a level 1 run myself, nor seen how it's like, so please don't make fun of me for this. You know what, honestly, I'm just gonna explain it here myself. I didn't really know how important this part was, but even if it was, I just Google searched it and it said the shield was the best option and I should also get rid of the staff. However, in a level 1 run, you always want to go for the staff as it gives you an extra MP stat, which is the most important thing you can ever have for this run. So yeah, already in the first 10 seconds I've made the biggest mistake in the run, but I'm not gonna spoil when I realized it. So enjoy how fricked I was for this run. After choosing our weapons, we hit a save point, and from here this is where you want to equip the EXP 0 ability, which is obviously the only exception for a level 1 run so we can stay at level 1. After that are just a few easy fights with some Heartless and then a Dark Side, and once we finish all that, Sora wakes up and then plays with his friends Riku and Kairi. We then cut to the Disney side of the story where Donald finds Mickey not to be in his throne. Pluto then gives him a letter from him saying he went out to go get some milk, but it's already been a while, so yeah. Donald then tries to tell Goofy in private, but Minnie just so happens to be there too, so she tells us to bring him back or she'll forbidden words on YouTube. We cut back to Sora's side. After they finished building a raft, later came the night that changed their lives forever. A storm came with an orb of darkness, Riku consumes to the darkness, Sora is granted the power of the Keyblade, and Kairi disappears. The darkness from the door then pushes us to a floating island where we are met with another dark side, and just like in the tutorial, he isn't even hard at all. After defeating him, the orb of darkness sucks us in and all of Destiny Islands, and then we spawn in a world called Traverse Town. We go look for Riku and Kairi, but then the Heartless from the island followed us here. Now in a level 1 run, you don't have to fight the Heartless at all. The only ones you fight are the ones that are mandatory to progress through certain sections in each world, but Heartless like these that are just there if you want to grind, you can skip. We then meet up with Final Fantasy VIII protag Leon and Donald and Goofy with Aerith. Both of them give both parties a rundown on what's going on and why this is all happening. After getting all caught up, Sora meets Donald and Goofy, and not long after, we head into our first mandatory battle together. And let me tell you, this fight pretty much told me that not having dodge roll is going to make me regret not being allowed to use abilities. Because there's a lot of Heartless, it's very easy to get targeted by all of them at once. However, that isn't the issue. After beating all the Heartless, we are met with a guard armor. How this fight works is that you have to destroy all of his body parts. Sounds easy, right? Yeah, without dodge roll, it's really hard to avoid all of this, especially when I get cornered when they separate. And if you lose in this fight, you have to do the Heartless fight again, which that is also hard to do without dodge roll. Now it did get to a point where I got used to fighting without dodge roll, that the Heartless fight became no problem anymore. And as for the guard armor, I did get better at parrying his attacks, but whenever his parts separate, that's when it's curtains on me. I eventually was able to get a lucky attempt where they all didn't target me at the same time, and was able to take him out. With that, Donald and Goofy decided to join Sora to find their friends together, and their adventure begins. Our first world is Wonderland. Here, Alice is being accused for what the Heartless are doing in this world, and we have to prove her innocence by finding one piece of evidence. There's actually 4 to find, but you only need 1 to advance in the story, but collecting all 4 of them will give you the Blizzard spell. After presenting the evidence, she didn't give a frick because she wanted to be right about blaming Alice and saw this as us calling her a liar, so she wants us all dead. To get past this fight, you just need to destroy the tower by destroying all the 3 levers first, and then the tower itself. But it won't be easy as the guards are always going to be on your ass. The best way to avoid them is by attacking the queen, which will force them to worry about her instead of attacking. But that only affects the red cards. It was really easy at first, until the very end where I had to get rid of the tower because they all start coming after me, and I couldn't even attack the queen because they can jump on the platform with me. And I was even a hit away from dying. And by the way, you can only get hit twice in a level 1 run. So I just had to play this out way too carefully and look for the right time. Fortunately, it only takes 6 hits to destroy the tower, so it wasn't that stressful. However, while we were fighting, Alice disappeared and we have to find her. And as we do so, we run into a Trickmaster. I freaking hate this fight so much. I mean, you just gotta avoid his swings and then attack. Simple as that, right? Well, you're dead right about that. Until he sets them on fire and... I wish I was lying when I say I spent almost an hour here, because it's honestly not hard. It doesn't seem like it is, but it really shows level 1 can make preschool things feel like you're playing a Soulsborne game. Especially when I don't have my dodge. Now on the bright side, by the time he lights up his clubs on fire, he's very low on HP, meaning I just have to stun him once and that's it. And after a while, I was finally able to take him out. After defeating the boss, we sealed the keyhole to this world, which is basically our indicator that we cleared the world and we can move on to another one. Before actually going through the next world, I decided to pay a quick visit to Olympus Coliseum and clear this trial so Phil can reward me with the Thunder Spell. I'll cover the rest of Olympus later, but for now, our next world is Deep Jungle. As Jane was trying to research gorillas, Clayton wanted to kill Turk until we stopped him, and once we scolded him, the darkness took over him and the Heartless took over the world. To clear this world, we have to beat all the Heartless in certain areas in the world, which aren't very hard. And then there's Saber, which at first was hard, but once I got an idea on how he works, it was no biggie. The best time to attack is when he does this double scratch, and any other attack he does, I just played it safe. And now it was time for the boss of this world, Clayton. He doesn't have much health and he dies in just a few hits, but the Heartless here didn't want this to be too easy. So anytime I was minding my own business, they would always get in the way and I get comboed by them. Then there's the way the lock-on in this game works because sometimes, if not almost all the time, it locks onto the wrong enemy, which messes me up big time. And then when they all decide to attack me, it gives Clayton the chance to one-pump me. You know what's funny though is that this isn't even that hard. I've had a lot of good attempts and Thunder even works so well here. The reason why you're even seeing me do this fight so much is because after you beat this phase, the real boss spawns in, and that's what was giving me a lot of trouble. Because if you die here, you gotta do the first phase again. But yeah, this phase was pretty brutal. What you have to do is keep attacking the chameleon and knock Clayton off of him, and once again, you need to defeat him in order to win the fight. So it's basically the same as before, except now we're dealing with a huge chameleon. Now it's pretty easy to dodge his attacks by jumping around, but then there are his beams, which are the worst because it's mainly supposed to get you away from Clayton if you don't try to avoid them. And when you do, Clayton will aimbot you back to the lobby. At this point, I was really tempted to just enable dodge roll, but then I was able to corner Clayton and infinite him, and the chameleon's beams couldn't even reach me, meaning this was my chance to cheese the fight. And there you have it, Clayton and the chameleon are defeated. Huge shoutouts to Tarzan by the way, because if it weren't for his heals, I would have definitely broken my own rule of banning abilities. We then find the keyhole and seal it, which concludes Deep Jungle. After sealing the keyhole in both worlds, we have to come back to Travis Town to do some side quests so we can have access to the summons. A summon is a character we can summon to assist Sora in combat, which are gonna be very helpful in some situations, like this one right here where there's so many Heartless we have to fight that it's literally impossible to get past something like this when they're all targeting you at once. So we summon Simba so he can wipe them all out. Yeah, summons are definitely gonna be a lot of help for this run, and we'll unlock more as we progress. We then ring the bell that the Heartless were guarding to reveal the keyhole, but in order to seal it, we have to get past another guard armor. Now, despite having a lot of trouble the first time I fought him, this time it was a lot easier because after you beat Deep Jungle, you unlock the Cure spell, and now I can finally heal without running out of potions, so I don't have to play too carefully anymore. And with that, I easily beat both phases of this fight and clear Traverse Town. Continuing with our adventure, our next stop was Agrabah. Maleficent and Jafar plan to kidnap Jasmine since she is needed for something they got going in another world. Meanwhile, we try to search for Aladdin by finding his carpet in his house and then flying us to where he's at. But before we can save him, we have to get past the Heartless here. Now before, I've never had a problem with mandatory Heartless encounters. Until now. So the way these Heartless work is that 1, they launch themselves at you, and 2, they throw their swords at you. So it's really hard to try and kill one of them when they all attack from Narnia. And there's 5 of them here, and there's just no way to dodge all of this when they're all attacking you at once. Oh, and there's also 2 waves in this encounter. Now, I did try using Simba, but he wasn't that much of a help since he doesn't one-hit kill them. But then I tried spamming Thunder, and that actually made things a lot easier, especially with Donald contributing as well. Can you believe it took me 30 minutes to even think about using Thunder? Anyways, we save Aladdin and take him back to the city so we can save Jasmine together, but we were too late. Aladdin tried to save her with a wish, but Iago stole the lamp from him and Genie is now in Jafar's control. Jafar then summons a pot centipede, but it didn't give me any trouble. We then head back to the desert to go find him there, but we are met with the Cave of Wonders. And this fight was just as annoying as the previous Heartless encounter, simply because the same Heartless from before are once again screwing me over. And what sucks is that this fight could be done in 10 seconds if they weren't here, because all you have to do is attack the eyes, and that's it. And don't even bother trying to fight them, because the tiger will just spawn more of them. So now what? Well, I just keep trying and trying until I got very lucky where he only spawned 1 bandit and missed me, and that was it. Yeah, as I said, this would have been so easy if the bandits weren't here. We then explore the cave and solve some puzzles, which leads us to where Jafar is at. Now, the fight isn't hard, but it's annoying because he's just flying all over the place and you can't predict where he's going to stop, so you just have to be ready to attack when you can. As for his attacks, it's very easy to dodge all except for his beam because you know what. But not a big deal. Genie will also be attacking, but he's also not much of a problem. After defeating him here, he wishes for Genie to turn him into an all-powerful Genie, and while he may look what he wishes to be, this fight was an absolute joke. In fact, this was the easiest fight in the entire run. All you have to do is attack Iago, and that's it. Jafar only throws meteors at you, but they're very easy to dodge. And yeah, there's nothing else to say other than Jasmine unfortunately getting kidnapped and us stealing the keyhole to beat the world. We also unlock Genie as a summon. As we continue to explore more worlds, Monster the Whale is somehow swimming around here and eats us. We then find Pinocchio and Geppetto in here, and as Geppetto was telling us how they got in here, Pinocchio ran off. We go in to look for him, and then we find Riku in here, but not for a good reason. Turns out Riku has been tricked by Maleficent into thinking Sora doesn't care about him and Kairi once he got the power of the Keyblade and met Donald and Goofy. So first he decided to take Pinocchio and make us chase them down until we catch up to them. However, Pinocchio gets trapped inside of a parasite cage that we have to fight now. All he does is swing his tentacles, so if you ever get hit, just fall back, heal, attack, and repeat. Once you beat him, he spits out Pinocchio and Riku follows him in there. We go back to where Geppetto is at and find Riku holding Pinocchio. He reveals to us that Kairi has lost her heart and that by using Pinocchio he could help her in some way, and then he dips. After defeating the parasite cage, we unlock the high jump ability so we can access the area Riku went to. And just a little reminder, shared abilities are allowed because when I say abilities are banned, I mean by Sora's own abilities tab and nothing else, especially when you can't attack with shared abilities too. We find Riku once again, and he pretty much shows to us what side he has taken, so Sora refuses to join him and fight him instead. But the parasite cage came back and Riku leaves. The fight is just the same as before, only now he has more attacks, but they're easy to dodge. And it's also best to attack from the side because you hardly ever get hit from being there. And also, if you step foot even once in the poison, you'll get one hit killed. But other than that, this fight wasn't too much of an issue. After defeating the parasite cage, Monstro spits us out, which is our sign that we cleared the world. Next world is Halloween Town. Yo, what's up guys? It's me again. Now for those that haven't been keeping up with the channel, this whole challenge run was recorded back in the end of August of 2022. And the reason why this has been held off for so many months is because my hard drive where I recorded this challenge run got corrupted. And while I was able to recover the recordings, all but one recording remained corrupted, and that was up until I reached the lock, shock, and barrel fight, meaning 90% of this world's recording is all gone. I'll still cover these upcoming fights anyway, but since this world is optional if you decide to go to Atlantica first, and I did try out all of the worlds for this run, I will not count this world for the video. And since I still have you here, I might as well ask you to like and subscribe if you're enjoying. Later. I reached the top of the tower and finally caught up to these kids, but they weren't going to give back the heart that easily, so we had to fight for it. And unfortunately, it's 3 against 1. And we all know how fights like this can go. And you know what sucks about this is that if you lose, you have to climb all the way to the top again. Like, could they have just not made us respawn right before we enter the room? I mean, I understand because of room saves, but this is still dumb. Anyways, it didn't take me long to figure out how to win this. Since Beryl is the most annoying one, he's the one you want to get rid of first. Then you go for Locke, and then Shock last because she drops a lot of MP orbs, which are so useful since I can heal as many times as I want, especially in moments where I could have been dead if it weren't for them. I expected this to take me a while, but it only took me 3 tries to get past this. Now the heart we were trying to take back was thrown all the way at the bottom where Oogie Boogie was waiting for us. This fight didn't give me any trouble as everything he attacks you with is easily avoidable, and that's it. Just hit the button on wherever he is and attack. And there you go, you win. But that wasn't the end of him as he is now merged with his manner. The way this fight works is that there are 7 bubbles that you have to destroy. After you destroy 3 of them, he'll start attacking you with fire that'll follow wherever you're at, and Heartless will also start spawning. The best way to get around this fight is to first destroy the 3 bubbles that are right near the lantern because those are the worst places to do later when the Heartless spawn. After getting rid of those 3, you just have to do your best getting rid of the rest because the Heartless that appear here are very brutal since they'll do whatever they can to make sure you never play this game again. Because not only are they hard to take out, but even if you kill them, they immediately respawn. And there are times where I accidentally ledge grab and instantly die from it. So yeah, it really comes down to a lot of patience, which I don't have because of how easy it is to die no matter how careful you are. I eventually was able to put an end to this, but yeah, this was one of the worst fights of the run. You know, looking back at this, I got a really important question to ask now. So for those that don't know, it takes about 40 hits to destroy a bubble. So, if I were to leave a bubble on 1 hit and then leave it for later and do the same with the rest, would I be able to come and go on each bubble so I wouldn't have to deal with any of the stupid stuff? Because I've actually never seen or heard anyone do that, and I'm curious. Anyways, our next stop is the worst world in the game, Atlantica. God, I'm already having regrets for this. As soon as we land, we meet Ariel, Flounder, and Sebastian, and they just teach us how the swim mechanics in this world works. We then get ambushed by Heartless, which aren't a problem, but since the Heartless are here, Ariel decided to take us to King Triton to report on this. And as you can expect, he goes overprotective mode and doesn't want Ariel near us since he has some suspicions on us. We ignore this and decided to go on a treasure hunt, but then Triton found out and destroyed the treasure we found and made Ariel upset. Ursula then finds Ariel and then tricks her into getting her into the palace so she can steal King Triton's trident. We all head out to find her, but before doing so, we have to get past this shark first. Pretty simple fight, though I did struggle a bit because of how fast he hits you, but it isn't as bad as these upcoming fights. After defeating the shark, we find the passage to Ursula's lair and then fight her. To win this fight, you have to attack the cauldron with magic so then you'll be able to attack Ursula. However, it's very easy to run out of magic because of my MP bar, and the best way to get MP is by attacking Flotsam and Jetsam, and that's where the problem is at because these guys are so freaking annoying. First off, it's very easy to miss your attacks for whatever reason. Like, seriously, how does this even miss? And then there are their lines like, no escape, take this. Like, oh my god, just shut up. And the worst part is that because I get hit by them almost all the time, I always have to waste MP on healing myself instead of on the cauldron. The fight overall is definitely another one of the worst ones in this run, all because of Flotsam and Jetsam alone. Yeah, Ursula is literally nothing if we didn't have to deal with these guys. Like, if my MP bar was something like this, we could have been living in a peaceful society, but no, we get this instead. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been this traumatized hearing these stupid voice lines every 2 seconds. And you know, Sora just easily missing a lot of these hits kind of reminds me of this TikTok trend. And the funny thing too is that if you didn't know, the song playing is literally a bunch of random Disney characters' voice lines. And crazy enough, this all started 6 days after I started this challenge. But back on track, it took me a long while, but I was able to take out Ursula and erase Flotsam and Jetsam from existence. However, Ursula isn't done yet as she uses the trident to turn herself big. Now this can be a pretty annoying fight because of how long it takes. In the first phase, Ursula will only attack by using Thunder Breath or inhaling. There's also going to be these lightning strikes following you everywhere you go, but as long as you're always moving around, you won't get hit by them. The best way to attack her is to always be right behind her head since she can't hit you from there. Once half of her HP is gone, this is where the annoying part comes in as she now starts forming a circle of lightning around her to back you off. She uses this move a lot, and the only opening you have is when she attacks with anything else, but even so, you can only get like 4 hits on her and then back away as she goes back to using lightning. Overall, pretty doable if you have the patience for it, because one mistake and you gotta waste more time. After defeating Ursula, we use the trident to reveal the keyhole and complete this world. Not a world that's ever recommended to do in a level 1 run because it takes some sadness in your life to even do this world. I only did it to show what's possible and what isn't, but next time I do a run like this, don't ever expect me to do this world again. On the bright side, my Thunder upgrades to Thundara. Next on the list was Neverland. Riku has appeared once again, this time having Kairi with him. After having a small talk, Riku trapdoors us and we're locked up with Peter Pan. Except we actually aren't because he was only waiting for Tinkerbell to tell him where Wendy was at. She also found Kairi with her too, so we head out to go find them. As we're about to approach the room she's in, we are met with a Shadow Sora. The only thing that can be annoying about this fight is Sora once again easily missing his attacks. Yes, that's his fault, not mine, but nothing challenging overall. Just attack him when he's walking, and whenever he duplicates himself, they can all be deleted with Thunder. We find Wendy, but no Kairi with her, which means Riku might have ran off with her. We then find our way to the main deck where we get ambushed by a bunch of Heartless that we gotta fight. Not an encounter to worry about though. After that, we trick Captain Hook into coming out of his room to fight us. This fight is pretty dumb as all you have to do is fly over the ocean to make him jump in, only for him to jump right back on board, which gives you an opening. And just repeat. I did try parrying his attacks, but that doesn't seem to work, so yeah, that's all you really have. As for the Heartless that's just there's no point in defeating him as he'll just keep respawning, so destroy all of his cannons so he doesn't try to be annoying. And that is it. We knock Hook into the ocean with his best friend, Wendy is safe, and that is it for Neverland. Now before we progress with the story, I did say I wanted to cover all of Olympus sometime later, and I think now is the best time to do so. Since this is an optional world, there really is no story here. Only thing that happens here is that Hades brings Cerberus into the Colosseum, and Cloud from Final Fantasy VII is just here. Cerberus isn't that much of a threat, easy to avoid attacks, and the only opportunity you have to attack them is when they stop and try to chomp you. After defeating them, we're now able to compete in a bunch of cups which you unlock after beating certain worlds in the game. However, since we got the Hercules Cup unlocked, we don't have to do the other 2 cups because you only need to beat this one to seal the keyhole in this world. Every seed we competed in thankfully gave us no harsh, and what's even great too is that it takes more than 2 hits to lose. As for the boss fights, for Cloud all you have to do is jump to avoid and punish his poorly spaced down airs, and Hercules it's literally like playing in a normal playthrough. And there you go, we beat the Hercules Cup, giving us the Yellow Trinity ability so we can seal the keyhole to this world. Now even though the world is technically beaten, I decided to also do the Hades Cup once I unlocked it, and to put it this way, throughout every Heartless fight, Thunder and Arrow are gonna be your best friends. As long as you have them, it'll all be good. It is a pretty long cup, and there will be some seeds that are troublesome, but you do have checkpoints every 10 seeds, so losing isn't going to be that bad of a feeling. I will say the one seed that was the worst in this cup was seed 16, where you have to fight a bunch of Dark Balls, because no matter how many times I try to hit them, I end up parrying some, and then get hit by all of them, and there's almost nothing you can do but just glide around and hope you can get an opening. Now as for the boss fights, Yuffie you can just attack non-stop, the Behemoths just hide under him when he attacks. The guard armor, I suggest getting rid of all the Heartless first before focusing on him, as I have lost a few times because of them. Cloud and Leon aren't that terrifying, though it is annoying having Cloud interrupt me while I'm trying to take out Leon. And now the boss that I actually wanted to fight the most going into this, Hades. Honestly, all of this time I put into this cup just to defeat one of the easiest bosses of the run was not worth it, and I should have just stopped after sealing the keyhole. Which is why I stopped after this fight, because the seeds after this... yeah, right! By the way, I also did 100 Acre Woods after this. Now to continue with the story, we head into Hollow Bastion. Riku steals the Keyblade from Sora, and then Donald and Goofy's fake asses abandon him.
Sora, sorry.
Beast decides to join him, and then we solve some puzzles to get the front entrance opened. We meet up with Riku again, and Sora was able to take the Keyblade and Donald and Goofy back. We then fight Riku, and it's pretty tricky, but for the most part, the best time to attack is after he jumps, because anything else is no good. Parrying also doesn't seem to affect him, and he happens to retaliate very quickly, so going for triple attacks isn't going to be good. But since he doesn't have much health, it'll be over soon. We then have to solve a bunch of puzzles to get through the world, and there are going to be some Heartless getting in your way. Most of the time they're not a problem, but the ones you should worry about the most are the Wizards and the Dark Balls, because the Wizards are the most pussiest Heartless, as all they do is disappear anytime you hit them, and then come back attacking with lightning, which is basically a shield. But Dark Balls are by far the worst, because when there's multiple of them, you might as well give up on life. Not to mention, at one point you have to fight this. In these kinds of situations, you're definitely gonna need the stop spell for this. After going through all that, we meet up with Maleficent to finally put a stop to what she's been scheming up. Now, just like the Cave of Wonders fight, this is something that could have been so easy if the Heartless weren't here, because everything is pretty easy to dodge, she isn't that threatening, but she'll summon either 2 Dark Balls or 2 Defenders, though for the Dark Balls, if you're out of range, they can despawn. Don't know if that's the same for the Defenders. Now, I will say that it's best to at least get rid of one of them, because defeating both of them will just make Maleficent summon more, and that's really it. Again, Maleficent wasn't the problem, just the Heartless. But this wasn't the end of her just yet, as Riku stabbed her with some darkness and has now turned into a dragon. And this fight... you know, I thought the Atlantica fights were the worst, but I was wrong, because this one definitely takes the cake. Now at first, there was a lot of struggling. I mean, it's been a very, very long time since I fought Dragon Maleficent, but I did get to a point where I got used to this fight, where I knew what move she was gonna throw out, like when she moves her head like this, she's gonna whack you with her tail. Just that it took me a good 2 hours to know how to even fight her. Yeah, you just have to get good at dodging everything she throws out, because there's going to be a lot of it. And I haven't even mentioned the worst part yet, which is where she summons these fireballs, and this is what was actually the cause of most of my losses. The best way for me to dodge these is to be right behind her so she can block them. However, not all will be blocked since I still have to avoid her stomps by jumping or gliding. So yeah, if you're a level 1 noob like I am, you're definitely gonna lose it here. It took me a long while, but I did manage to take her out. But we're not done with this world yet. Riku has been fully possessed by the darkness, and we have to stop him so he doesn't fulfill the plan. The only thing that's scary about this fight is right in the end where Riku stays powered up because he's going to be a lot more aggressive here. It's really all about finding that one opening to counterattack. Thankfully, he doesn't have much health left at this point, so I wouldn't stress out about it too much. Once you get used to it, all of his moves will be easy to dodge, including the geyser, as there are some good spots to avoid it. After 30 minutes, I was able to beat him. However, we're not able to seal the keyhole due to it not revealed yet. To do that, we have to free Kairi's heart, and Sora did so by stabbing himself and then turning into a Heartless. Thankfully, Kairi was able to bring him back, but the whole world started being infested with Heartless after that fight, so we had to leave. We came back later, however, we have to explore the entire world again to get back to where we were at. But I mean, that's all we have to do, so surely this was gonna be easy, right? Well, you're dead wrong, because there is one section that was really frustrating to get past, and it was to get to the elevator. The problem here is that there's way too many Heartless here that it's literally impossible to get past this. We don't have to fight them, except in order to interact with things, there needs to be no fighting, otherwise we can't activate the elevator. So then I try to figure a way to bypass the Heartless. We clearly can't from where we enter, so then I try to get on the moving platforms, except I can't jump high enough to even reach them. And after a bad while, I was stumped. I didn't know what to do, so please don't make fun of me for this, but I pulled out a guide just to see how others dealt with this, and then I see that everyone was using Dumbo to get a boost, so then I tried to do that, but then I couldn't. And then I realized I fricked up. So there you have it. This is when I found out about my mistake from the very beginning of the run. Yeah, it took me all the way up until around the end of the game. I'm pretty sure most of you are even surprised I made it this far without realizing it. And to be honest, while it was still very hard, it wasn't that much of a problem until this point in the game. Looking back at this, there are some points in this run that would have been easier with a third MP stat, but it is what it is. Though I will say, it gets worse after this. And I think most of you already know what I'm talking about. So because I can't summon Dumbo, I had to figure out another way. Then I had another idea. As you know, when you move far away from a Heartless, they disappear. So I figured if I could just summon them first, then fly over to the moving platforms and make sure I'm far enough to a point where they disappear, I could actually get past this. So I did just that, and only an air soldier and a wyvern followed me, but since it's only 2, it was no problem. Then I was able to reach the moving platforms again, and just when I got to the switch, I mashed the triangle and was just able to get in as they spawned. So I got past that. Now I gotta get past this elevator ride. Thankfully, Genie was enough to take care of this, and Donald's heals also came in clutch as I could have been dead here if it weren't for that. And there we go. I made it back to the keyhole, but I gotta fight this behemoth. But once again, just hide under when he attacks and that's it. After defeating him, I finally sealed the keyhole to this world. However, we're not done as the real enemy is waiting for us in a different world. So we head out to the final world, End of the World. This is it. Just one more world and we'll be able to complete the challenge. As we make our way, we have to go through some mandatory encounters. The first, we fight some invisibles. Against these guys, I abuse the frick out of stops because it's the best spell against them. They take forever to unfreeze, meaning I'll be able to farm a lot of MP from them. After this, you'll see some chests lying around, which I wouldn't recommend opening as it traps you with some optional encounters. Next are some angel stars. Not a difficult encounter, but slightly annoying when they're all hitting you at once. The good thing though is that in these encounters, it now takes 4 hits for me to die instead of 2. And finally, we got another behemoth. Nothing's changed about him, so nothing new to say. Now we're in World Terminus, where you can visit a resemblance of each of the worlds to fight, which you don't have to. You could just skip all the way to the laboratory. All we have to do is fight these invisibles, which once again just abuse stops and you're good. After this, we fight Chernabog. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the one boss fight where I'm actually down to upload the full battle to because I don't think any of you will ever believe how I got past this fight. So basically, in the first phase, you just gotta avoid all the fire that he breathes and erupts. Simple concept. And then when he's like 2 health bars down, he starts throwing fire at you. Which is the worst part about this fight because the fire is just too smart. No matter how hard you try to avoid them, like hiding right behind him or using a Roga, there's nothing you can do. And what does that lead to? Yeah, I just don't know how to explain it. So if you're down to even see how this fight went down, you can check in the description down below to see the full battle. Now, we've made it to the hardest Heartless encounter of the entire game, Final Rest. It starts off with another behemoth fight, which, once again, same strat as before, and then we have to fight a bunch of waves of Heartless. And unfortunately, this is where the run comes to an end. I don't know how many waves there are in this encounter, but there's way too much that with the resources I have and how badly I fricked up with my MP, there's just no way to get around this. I've done everything I can and spent so much time here, and there's nothing I can do about this fight. So it saddens me to say that no, you cannot beat Kingdom Hearts at level 1 without abilities and changing equipment. After how far I've come, it really sucks that it just had to end before we got to the final boss. Alright, here I am for one last time. So while I was waiting for all of my recordings to recover, I decided to look up and see if there were any other people that attempted something like this. And there are 2 guys that did. The first is Opalua, who attempted this in 2021, and Ninten, who actually attempted this sometime before I started the challenge myself. Both of them were able to complete the challenge, except it was only just with equipment banned and not with abilities too like I did. Speaking of which, while they were able to complete the challenge, my challenge would still be impossible impossible, as it seems like the only way to get past Final Rest is with the Trinity Limit ability. So yeah, the run can definitely be beaten at level 1 without changing equipment, though with abilities banned too, no. I'll have both of their runs linked down below so you can see how they approach this challenge, and also because Apolua deserves way more attention for this. Now, since it has been a while since I attempted this challenge, I am now fully recovered from this horrible experience. Plus, now knowing all of my mistakes, I'm actually down to re-attempt this run sometime soon. So if you're down to see that, I'll be live right here on YouTube for it. Though this time, abilities will be allowed because, as we know, it's impossible without them. Which means I can finally dodge roll again. But anyways, that is gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more Kingdom Hearts content on the channel, especially since I want to be free from Persona, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss out on a single upload. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you all in the next video.